So I was watching one of my favourite fishy YouTubers, Jeff, and he did a really good video about how many guppies you can keep in a 10-gallon tank. And I thought, well, how many guppies can you keep in a bigger tank? And so this is a 65-gallon. It has, I don't know how many fish are in here. They're mostly female guppies. I do have quite a large angelfish. He is a lot bigger than what he looks on camera. I have about 8 black neons, and I have 4 little neon tetras, and I have an assortment of quarry cats, but the rest are male and female guppies. I class this as quite overstocked, even though technically this is quite a wide tank. It's 18 inches wide, so most of the time the fish look like they're quite crowded because they're at the front of the tank and the rest of the tank is empty. I always overstock my tanks. I think with guppies you can get away with it, especially female guppies. Female guppies are very, very social fish. They do have a hierarchy. You do get a couple of females who are the boss, and they keep the others in check. You have to be careful if you break that up. It can end up to be quite a big fight. So I no longer take females out of here if I can possibly help it, if they are in that higher group. I'm quite lucky to have just about 2 that are the boss in here, and I no longer remove them from the tank. I find the most important thing when you overstock a tank is filtration. I have a canister filter for a 200-gallon tank, and I also have my Zis filter there, which I think is really good for keeping all your in check, and nitrates and all that stuff, ammonia, and it also, again, with quite a lot of fish, I do aerate my tanks quite a lot, so it's got a nice lot of bubbles and everything. I think there's several ways you can tell if a tank's overcrowded, especially with guppies. I'm not sure about other fish, but with guppies they get bloat, and females, if there's not enough of them, they will die more often of things like dropsy, as the males chase them when they're giving birth, and they just seem to die because of stress. I've got way more females than males in this tank, and all the time I've had it, I've only lost 6 guppies, 6 female guppies, 2 from old age and 4 from various other little diseases, which isn't bad for the amount of females I have in here, and the fact that they're mostly between 14 months and over 2 years, so that's not bad. I've only ever lost 1 male out of this tank, and that was from old age. He was 18 months old. I do find that my angelfish does tell me if the tank is dangerously overstocked, which I think it can become. He gets very aerated and he swims about the tank. He likes his own space. If he hasn't got his own space, he will go after the guppies. And he's been fine with this amount of fish for quite a while. I have added some new females because, as I say, a lot of my females are quite old, so I'm going to need replacements for them. And they've settled in quite well. They're quite small, some of them, so hopefully they'll grow to a fair size before my other females die of old age. So how many guppies can you keep in any size tank? Well, if you have the right amount of females to males, female guppies are very, very social fish. They do gather in groups a lot. My females spend a lot of time together. So sometimes after feeding, the tank may look even empty. They're all off doing their own thing. They all sleep together in the central plant. They are, as long as they've got a good amount of swimming space, keeping guppies together in large groups, especially females, it seems to be fine. If you look at them in the wild, I've been watching quite a lot of programs about them in the wild, and sometimes they end up in very small parts of streams, in large groups in the wild. So occasionally having quite a lot of guppies together doesn't seem to be a problem, because they do that naturally anyway. You can get guppies falling over each other in a small little stream, and they all seem quite healthy. So as long as you do regular water changes and you have good enough filtration and you have a good ratio of females to males, I think I have at least 8 females to every male in this tank, you're not going to have too much of a bother. If you have other fish in the tank, like angelfish, remember that they need their personal space. They have to be able to have their own little space in the tank. But everybody else seems to be quite fine. I still have my babies down here. I don't think they're out. Oh no, they're right at the back. I don't think they can be seen. Oh yes, you may be able to see one down there. They also live in this little area. I don't usually see them until I've fed. Oh yeah, there they are, they're out of focus. These have managed to survive since I'd taken Sapphire out the tank. So a female salmon fighting fish is a good fish to keep the population down, if that's what you want to do. But I'm quite interested to see how the baby fish survive and grow. So that's just my take on guppies. Just remember that female guppies are very, very, very social. They're not shoreline fish, but they definitely stay together. They definitely have females that are the boss of the tank, and as long as you keep them clean and they have enough room just to have a decent swim, they seem to be quite happy.